What's up, everybody? Few things on the menu today. Hope you all had a bearable holiday. Um, I'd like to be able to say Happy New Year, but we're just gonna keep it positive and say I hope you survived this one too. All the best to you and yours. Um, Remember that guy who some of you, unfortunately, very few, I would assume by now anyway, fell in love with because you thought he was your savior. You know, the guy that said that you knew, and I'm quoting now, quote, you knew I was a snake before you let me in, unquote. That guy. Remember that guy? Orange Man bad. So at the time when this whole crisis happened, during his tenure in office, mind you, right? 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 As predicted by Dr. Fauci a few years prior. So he had to have known as well. Trump, that is, of course. I told you guys that this whole therapeutic versus vaccine dialectic is a false one, right? Because it doesn't question the underlying premises of either assertion, right? That vaccines are better than therapeutics or vice versa, right? Both of them assume that there is a novel disease out there killing people, obviously, right? Which is, well, I can't tell you what it is, right? Because every time I do, YouTube takes down my video. But we all know what it is. And if you don't, then, well, you've probably been altered. It is what it is. So now, Pfizer, right? The pharmaceutical corporation with ties to World War II Nazis is, of course, they changed their name, right? Of course they did. And you know they our morality has evolved. Ask any vegan, right? So they're good people now, okay? So trust the science, but better yet, the scientists. They you know, the people that were on the front lines giving you the vax, now they have a therapeutic too. And guess what? If the picture is correct, it's a red pill. How timely and appropriate, right? So this is how you bring into the fold all the wokety woke ma's on the right? People who think they understand the deception and the scam because Trump and shit. Because Trump said fake news once or twice, and he also said shadow government, right? Because he said those things, then, well, you know, he's legit. And, you know, obviously babies, basements, and, you know, trafficking. Trust the plan. Retards. Anyway, see, this is the problem with a lot of you who are anti-vax and you think you're awake. You're somewhat awake, one eye open at the very least. Uh, at the same time, getting excited, buying up all the ivermectin and you know whatever other big pharma nonsense you think is going to save you from whatever is out there trying to get you, right? You don't ever question their underlying premises, both of which, the conclusion to both of which is ultimately big pharma, right? Thesis, antithesis, synthesis, right? So this is how you bring into the fold the people who are anti-vax, and you know you could kind of understand this seems less invasive, right? Because they're not stabbing you and injecting you with stuff. You actually take this thing in your hand yourself. You put it in your mouth, right? It's red, so you know it's legit. What was it? Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where the red pill was actually the bad pill, and he refused to take the red pill. Remember that? which is which? How about no pills, right? I told you guys a while back that ultimately it's all big pharma drugs, right? False dialectic. So all of you worshiping Judy Mikovits or thinking that she's somehow, look, I don't know her motivations. Maybe she does mean well, but at the end of the day, she is a gatekeeper. She's brainwashed. She pushes the germ theory. And when actually faced with someone who understands the deception and asks all the appropriate questions, right? She has to be rescued by a moderator. I'm talking about her debate with Dr. Kaufman. If you haven't seen that, it's out there on all these alternate platforms, right? She has to, first of all, she gets all flustered, starts stuttering, not answering questions, getting all emotional, and then needs to be rescued by the moderator simply because Dr. Kaufman is asking logical, reasonable questions in a very calm manner, right? Trying to get straight to the point. So, I mean, if you think that's your savior, no one's your savior, right? But if you think that lady, well, let me not say no one, okay? All right? No man, all right, is gonna save you. Oh, maybe temporarily. Anyway, yeah, long story short, it's a false dialectic, right? This is how you get the other side, or a lot of people on the other side who are already kind of into the fold because they believe in the left right paradigm, right? But this is how you get them to take whatever you want them to take, right? You diagnose them with something and then you make them pop a whole bunch of pills. And there was a man, forgive me, I forget his name, but you know, you have the www at your fingertips. You could look this up at the World Economic Forum, talking about how we need to put nanotech in pills, right? So that we can make sure the patient has taken them, right? Because you take that thing, right? And then they can tell by some kind of device, right? That that thing is inside of you, right? Because it carries something that will be legible to their scanners, readers, computers, whatever the hell's, right? It'll beam a beacon or have something in it that will be, again, picked up by all this surveillance equipment. And, you know, that's there are many, many, many other uses for nanotech, as we all know, I am sure. But you know, that's one of them. Making sure that thing is in you, and well, we can, they can get their, well, basically track you. Let me not beat around the fucking bush. Know where you are at all times, right? I mean, make sure that you taking your pill. Both. How about it? So it, you know, it's interesting, isn't it? How at the World Economic Forum they're talking about medicine, trackable medicine. Isn't that interesting? Shouldn't that raise eyebrows? But you know, not too many things raise eyebrows these days. So it is what it is. Anyway, this whole, you know, this was always a game from the very beginning. Trump, who was giving money to Bill Gates and pushing vaccines. I mean, look at how hard he's pushing vaccines now, right? Was at the same time pushing this, right? Therapeutics. Just another way to get you to take what it is that they want you to take. Ultimately, that's what this is about. Interestingly enough, I'm not sure why, YouTube suggested to me a microscopy video of a ciliate or a single-celled organism dying. I should go check it out. It's really quite beautiful. But we're just going to look at one part of it. So this is this organism. Well, let me show it to you. There it is in its entirety, right? Swimming around, doing things because it's alive, right? That's what live things do. They move around and they do things, right? Not sure that's a scientific definition of life, but it'll have to suffice. And, you know, it's burst. As you can tell, it's smaller now. It's breaking up. It's dying, right? And look at what it's breaking. There's all these little things falling out of the cell, right? Man, it's so amazing, this type of stuff, isn't it? Right? There's like little clouds of something, right? And basically what you're seeing is a whole bunch of round things, right? In the video they say it's cytoplasm, and I'm sure that's it also, but could it be, right, that this living cell or dying cell, still living, no? Interesting how these binary designations, simply by adding, yeah, it's a tangent, get over it, by adding ing, right, these complete dualistic opposites can exist at the same time simply by adding ing, right? Dying, this thing is dying, but it's also living, right? Solve that paradox for me. Anyway, yeah, could it be that apart from, cytoplasm and, I don't know, poop, and just all kinds of different stuff, could it be that some of those tiny little round things are maybe genetic material with proteins around them, right? Or lipids, fats? Could it be that it's, DNA and sequences, if you will, wrapped up in, a little envelope of protein, or whatchamacallit, fat, lipid, more precisely? Anyway, this is at what the scale to the right, which on my phone is about 3 centimeters, is supposed to, that line is supposed to represent 100, I want to say nanometers, if I remember the symbols correctly. Well, let's just go with that for now, right? So I read up on viruses, and from what I understand, you need a resolution of up to zero point 0.2 nanometers. So maybe, I guess the way I interpret that, and you let me know if I'm wrong here, but you need that sort of electron microscope resolution to be able to see a virus, right? So this is pretty close to it, because I think if you were to take, let's say, maybe, I don't know, kind of speculating and conjecturing here, one of those smaller little bubbles, and or maybe a ton of them, and line them along or on top of the white line at the top, bottom right of your screen, you could probably fit about, I don't know, 500 of them, or is it 1,000? 0.2? Yeah, about 500 of them, right? Am I getting this correct? Is my math correct? So that would be roughly, since we can't see it, right? At the very least, one of those tiny dots represents a pixel, or whatever. That would roughly be the resolution, or this is that kind of resolution, probably, right? We might just need to zoom in on this to be able to see these things better. But I think we're kind of looking at more or less that sort of resolution here, and we're starting to see these tiny things that are about the size of a virus, right? And then, you look at some photos, such as these images, and you got to be careful because a lot of them are, computer generated, except for this one in the middle. Obviously, that one's right, correct. A lot of them are just, renditions, but this looks like, that looks like something they just colored, but that came out of an electron microscope, right? You see these sort of kind of structures, right? So you see what they tell us is genetic material wrapped up in a fat or a protein, right? What's called a virus. Could it be, right, that some of the stuff that falls out of that cell is exactly that, right? It probably is, right? So while in this video, Well, there's a better photo, right? Could it be? See, they were able to magnify it. So could it be that some of those, round bubbles are exactly that? Because in the video they say that, this single-celled organism dies and they don't know why, right? Well, it's obvious why. It was full of viruses. That's what killed it, obviously, right? So, I don't really mean to be cryptic, if you will, or insinuating things, or beating around the fucking bush. I hate doing that. But, I want to put that out there, and I want it to stay up, so I guess I kind of have to. But yeah, obviously the reason why that cell died is because it was full of viruses. Duh. Thanks for watching, guys. Soma is coming.